Sometimes in this job, persistence is just forcing yourself to walk through a reed canary marsh full of insects and mosquitoes to get what you do. So persistence is important in a lot of different aspects. You just have to push through whatever that goal or the obstacle is.
Persistence, always pushing. You're going to have a lot of bad days. Push through them, start again tomorrow.
Persistence, you have to be persistent because things are not always easy. Life is not easy. There's always things that you're going to have to figure out how you're going to be persistent at staying towards. So when I was going through school, I had to be persistent. I thought about the future in mind, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to have. And I had to begin with the end in mind so that I knew where I was going, which makes persistence a little bit easier. But you're going to have falls, you're going to have mountains and valleys and things as you're going through your journey. And you just have to realize that, okay, over this next hill, it's going to change, it's going to shift. You're going to be constantly learning. This is your individual journey.
I mean, young people really can't fail, okay? You try, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and you step back and you go again. My age, maybe you can fail because you don't have the time to recover, but young people shouldn't be afraid to try and to be persistent and work forward. And if it doesn't work out, that's not a failure. That's just a change in direction.
Probably the biggest thing that in a professional career that you'll do is you'll build upon failure. There will be, you will develop something or create something. You'll have an idea. Maybe it's a service-related idea. Something, you'll have this idea. You'll maybe put it before your peers and talk to them about it. And in the end, you all discuss it and decide that it was the worst idea possible and you should not do it. And you decide you're not going to do it. But you can't give up. You have to continue forward because you learned a lot of lessons from that exercise. The next idea that you come up with may be 10 times better, and everybody look at it and go, well, that's brilliant. We need to do this.
But being persistent even as you start your career, working on projects and having clear lines of communication with your supervisors is really helpful. And so that you don't just kind of fall behind or kind of lay low and people forget about you. They know that you're there and that they know that you want to be actively involved in helping and making the world a better place.
I believe that persistence is an incredibly powerful skill for a person to acquire and develop. Being an outdoor adventures writer, in 1989 I started writing, and I just wrote for one newspaper, and it was just a hobby, and I wrote for $10 a week I was making. I just stuck with it, hunting, fishing, backpacking, canoeing, going all over the state, and just on every single week.
Creatively, you have to use that all the time. You always have to be thinking outside the box. Think of new ways to do something a little bit different and be ahead of the game a little bit, especially in business. We do that all the time. We always have creative meetings here. We always are thinking, and if we have an issue that comes up, we have to come up with 10 new creative ways to solve it. And they all know that before they come talk to me about something, we're going to already have 10 ideas. And before we make a decision on what to enact, we have 10 ideas, so we make an educated choice on what we're doing. But we're also following our persistence. We're making sure it's in alignment with our integrity and where we're going with what we're trying to do and create. So
the amount of innovation and the amount of creativity in marketing and presenting ourselves as a bank has just exploded, because with the internet it's so easy and inexpensive for people to market themselves. We're up against .com type banks, .com times lenders all the time now. When I started this career, that just didn't happen. It didn't exist. So if we're not more creative, we're not more innovative, if we're not trying to, we won't continue to grow and be successful. So from the bank's perspective, financially, we have to be, trying to be leading edge. That's an easy.
So in science has a lot of creative and innovative ways just built into what you do on a daily basis. And as a visitor services manager, I deal with the people and the visitors on a day-to-day basis. The best thing is working with the kids from school is that's where the things like my passions of photography or quilting or paper crafting or even hunting and fishing, the things I like to do come right into my work, and then I get to share that with kids and inspire them in different ways.
There's a lot of innovation that goes into it, and what's unique is the customers don't always see the innovation because we've been building these campers now for close to 20 years, and the basic concept and the layout and the design looks about the same, so a lot of people would think that we're not maybe necessarily innovators, but it's a constant improvement to try to make it, how to make it better, how to make a quality trailer that lasts longer. What we build today is so much better quality and durability than one maybe built 15 years ago, just because we've learned from listening to customers and seeing what they use, how they use them, where they take them, how they, you know, what time of year they use them, and we spend a lot of time developing and innovating different products for that are not as obvious or visible to the end user.
It's, yeah, you're learning every day, so, you know, I've been doing this 20 years and I'm still learning, so.
If I didn't listen to these landowners, if I went in there with preconceived notions of what I thought was best before I'd talked to them, before I'd walked their ground, before I knew their situation or their interests or their motivations, I would fail. Because I am working on their ground. I am a guest on their property to do this work. If I don't take their interests into consideration, I'm not doing my job. It's a partnership, and for that partnership to work, we both have to be working towards the same thing. And if it's me coming in saying I'm the biologist, I know all the answers, I'm going to get nowhere. I'm not going to get the project, and all I'm going to do is irritate somebody and put a black mark on the way the Fish and Wildlife Service works.
We have 7 senior managers here. We're all very different personalities, and we have very different jobs, but we have to work as a team. And if we can't understand each other's view and work together in that way, it's just not going to work very well. We work by consensus, and by consensus meaning everybody has to agree in the end, and obviously trying to bring 7 or 8 or 9 people together in a consensus, you better have some listening skills. You better be able to understand it. You better be able to be willing to accept others' ideas. In some places, even just drop yours. Even though if you think you're right, there's times where you have to accept it. Okay, this is what needs to be done. I wouldn't do it exactly this way, but the consensus is going that direction.
It's very important to listen to exactly what they say. You don't know, you know, when the vehicle's messing up or whatever. You need to know what it's doing, and so you can track it down, track any issue down. On the business end, listening to different ideas, seeing how they might work, I guess trying them, you know, saying, okay, let's try this for a little while and see what happens, whether it's marketing or whatever, and just, if it doesn't, move on to the next one, try again.
Listening is one of my skills that I have not exactly perfected, and I do understand how important it is. I tend to be very active and kind of think I should do things on my own, but I'll give you an example of listening. When I go fishing to an area that I have not fished before, which I do a lot, and usually when I do that, I go camping as well. One of the first things that I do is go to a bait store, or I just hang out at the landing for about 2 hours and I talk to local fishermen and I listen to what they tell me, because it really does pay off. And the thing about listening is it's a huge part of learning if you really focus on what people are telling you.
Well, if I was in doing an exam or just with a patient, and I'm not listening with the empathy or with compassion, they know it. They know it right away, and they feel they're not important, and they don't want to be around you when you don't have that empathy and compassion. I mean, they feel like they're not listening to me. They don't hear my story. They're not listening to me. They're not getting to the problem. And the thing is, you still have to learn to listen to them, because otherwise they're going to walk away. They're going to leave. They're going to go somewhere else, or they may never find the cause of their issue, and it could cost them their life or cost them something else. So, you know, in my job, yeah, it's very important to listen, because it's the difference of someone healing and someone not healing. And you have to pay attention to that. It's huge.